Bloomberg Audio Studios.
Podcasts, radio, news.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome President-elect Donald J. Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, and the Trump family.
It's around 2:30 a.m., the night of the election, West Palm Beach, Florida.
Well, I want to thank you all very much. This is great. These are our friends. We have thousands of friends on this incredible movement.
Pretty much everyone was expecting a close race. The polls, the pundits, even the candidates. But by midnight on the East Coast, we more or less knew Trump had done it. And not just Trump.
Oh, let me tell you, we have a new star. A star is born, Elon. Now he is. Now he's an amazing guy.
By the next morning, it was official. Trump won Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, North Carolina, Georgia, every swing state but Nevada and Arizona. Later that week, he'd win those too. Kamala Harris called Trump the next morning to congratulate him. Biden called too. At 4 p.m., Harris gave her concession speech.
I was relieved and grateful that we had a decision so fast.
Joan Donovan again, journalism professor, disinformation expert. She spent a lot of time thinking and writing about January 6th of 2020. She's been watching Elon Musk, plus his army of followers and fanboys, in the months before the election. They posted so many conspiracy theories. Democrats were going to steal the vote again. You can't trust the media. You can't trust the polls. That anything other than a landslide victory for Trump is fraud. And so she figured, if Harris wins, or even if it's close, Elon could call it fraud. That'd mean violence against a poll worker or a poll site or something worse.
And so it's very difficult to know what they're going to do. People are planning different kinds of violence and destruction if Trump hadn't won.
Again, this wasn't theoretical fear. Post-election, things are mostly calm. 3 weeks ago, not so much. Ballot boxes set on fire in Washington and Oregon and Arizona. Bomb threats called into polling places in Georgia and Pennsylvania. Elon tweeting like a maniac. Felt like we were in a tinderbox and he was holding the match.
And so at least we know what the outcome is. We can accept that outcome and we can move forward with some social assurances that the election had not been rigged.
There were so many warnings from both sides, from experts like Joan about the future of democracy. But then it worked. The person with the most votes won. Like Elon said when he brought Trump back on Twitter, the voice of the people is the voice of the gods. I'm Max Chafkin. This is Citizen Elon. So, we made it. Post-election. Trump definitely won. Something else that's indisputable? Elon won. How did he get there? How did he do it?
James, are you there? Not hearing James from Flat Rock.
On November 4th, the night before the election, Elon scheduled one of his town halls. It was supposed to be virtual, and it'd be live-streamed on Twitter. As usual, the event started late. A few things went wrong. Elon got frustrated.
You know, I think let's cancel this, given this seems to be some technical challenges.
He announced, instead of this town hall Q&A, folks should listen to the interview he'd done that day on Joe Rogan's show, a 2.5-hour podcast.
Joe Rogan Podcast, check it out!
The Joe Rogan Experience.
First of all, Thank you so much for buying Twitter. Thank you so much. I think you changed the course of history. I really do.
If you've ever listened to Rogan, you know the conversations wander. They started with video games.
Surgeons who regularly play video games make less errors.
How awesome eating meat is. How creatine is good for you.
Yeah, creatine is actually a nootropic, believe it or not.
But factory farming isn't. And about the exact right dosage of amphetamines.
In higher doses, man, I've seen people turn into just raging monsters. They're just angry, like extremely angry, all the time.
Yeah. They're methed up.
They went through a long list of Elon's grievances, which basically boiled down to anything stopping him from making money is bad, if not evil.
They decided SpaceX was the target. Like Stalin's chief torturer, one of his famous quotes was, "Show me the man and I'll show you the crime."
Right.
And eventually, they got to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, 2011. Rogan remembers Obama basically saying, "Donald Trump, you know what you'll never be?
President of the United States." You see Trump in the audience going, "Okay, motherfucker."
The degree to which they attacked Trump at that White House Correspondents' Dinner was really so over the top, it was like making everyone uncomfortable. They twisted the knife big on Trump. And it's like, man, this is not good karma, you know?
And there it is. A shared sense of grievance, humiliation, a revenge story. Elon and Trump, they really are the same person. And Elon seems to know it. But then Rogan brought up the impetus. Obama wasn't roasting Trump for the hell of it. He was responding to the literal conspiracy theory Trump successfully spread about the president not being born in America. And what's funny is, Elon went ahead and rewrote history. He asked Rogan, was Trump actually saying that?
No, he definitely was.
Okay.
He was definitely saying he's from Kenya.
Trump, Rogan said, was actually a victim of a busted-up information ecosystem. People wanting to manipulate him. Elon, though, he stayed on message. He turned somberly, looked straight into the camera, and said,
Men need to vote. That is the biggest issue. So I'm just saying this is a message to the men out there. Vote like your life depends on it, because I think it does. Vote. Vote tomorrow like your life depends on it. Nothing is more important.
For a few hours on Election Day, it seemed Elon worried he'd backed the wrong horse. He was quiet. He'd gambled so much on Trump. The money, yes, but also his reputation. Tesla's customers, they're fans of the old Elon Musk, not the guy who tweets about immigrants replacing white people. Mostly, they're Kamala voters. In the late afternoon, Musk voted in Brownsville, right on the Mexico border. He posed for a photo op. Then he got on his plane, headed to Mar-a-Lago, where Trump was. By 8:30 that night, things started leaning in Trump's favor. Elon started cracking jokes again on Twitter. Later, a picture began circulating from Trump's private watch party in Mar-a-Lago. 3 men huddled in conversation. Donald Trump, his transition co-chair, and of course, Elon Musk. In the background was a CNN screen with the electoral count. Trump was winning.
It's kind of rare for people to change their stripes.
That's Josh Green again. He works with me at Business Week. Josh was skeptical of Elon's commitment to politics. That is, before Elon started putting his money where his mouth was.
And the fact that he's kind of rocketed onto the scene, no pun intended. What's exciting about Trump, at least from a journalistic standpoint, is there are always these new characters and storylines. And Elon is like the star of season 2, episode 1 of the Trump White House.
Elon's everywhere. In Mar-a-Lago on election night, Uncle Elon on Instagram, in Trump's family photos, at meetings with lawmakers in D.C., on the phone with Vladimir Zelensky. Trump turns it into a running joke. Wherever he goes, Elon goes too.
He likes this place. I can't get him out of here. He just likes this place. He's done a fantastic job. Really an incredible...
This insult wrapped in compliments, we've seen it before. Trump has a long history of firing people. It was true on The Apprentice. It was true in the White House. Almost always, you can see it coming.
When Trump starts to get annoyed with people, you can kind of feel it in the Richter scale in Washington. Like there will be little asides in Politico or Washington Post stories, and they'll be leaked anonymously by Trump aides. And then Trump himself will say something or tweet something belittling, like publicly humiliating him to sort of, assert his dominance and express his annoyance. And then all of a sudden one day it would just be announced that he's no longer in the inner circle or...
That's one possibility. There's others too. A week after the election, Trump officially named Elon the co-head of the still unrealized Department of Government Efficiency. By the way, the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, Elon named it for a cryptocurrency he likes. Trump says it will become, quote, potentially the Manhattan Project of our time.
So really, at the end of the day, it's what used to be called in Washington a blue ribbon commission. It's basically this kind of phony concoction that you whip into being to give important people something to do and something to talk about, hopefully draw some media attention, but that doesn't have any real power. And as far as I can see, Elon's Doge office doesn't have any real power.
The thing is, and maybe it's because I've spent nearly 2 decades watching Elon's star grow, part of me thinks that Josh could be wrong, that Doge could have power. Either way, Elon's already won. In the days following the election, he's gotten richer. A lot richer. By Friday of that week, his net worth had gone up by $50 billion. And that doesn't even account for money that could be coming in the form of defense contracts, or killed investigations into his business dealings, or new subsidies, or regulations that could be tweaked to turn his money into more money. Already, Trump's picked Brendan Carr, a massive fan of Elon's, to run the FCC, which means Elon's satellite internet company, Starlink, is much more likely to get money from the government. And that's just one example. Normally, this is where accountability measures come in. But who or what could hold somebody like Elon Musk to account? He's got a major media platform, he's richer than anyone in all of history, and he's got Trump in his pocket. I asked Josh about this.
I don't know what the bright line is between just being like a kind of a human hurricane in Washington and like destroying these ethical and political norms and being an out-and-out authoritarian. But it looks more and more like we're gonna test those bounds every day.
I don't know where we go from here. There's a case to be made that right now, Elon is the most powerful person on this planet. Maybe in history, too.
Elon Musk, he's a unicorn. He's sui generis.
David Nassau, professor emeritus of history at CUNY and biographer.
And I've written a bunch of books, including biographies of Andrew Carnegie, William Randolph Hearst, Joseph Kennedy.
David's beat is really powerful men. And here, he sees a lot of parallels with Elon.
Let me take but one example. He is not the first rich man to fund a candidate in the hopes of getting a quid or a quo for his quids, or however you say it, getting some sort of payback. What's different is that this is not dark money. His is anything but dark. I mean, it glows. It sparkles. He is out front saying, this is what I'm doing, and this is why I'm doing it. And that is unprecedented. In the past, huge donors to campaigns who sought influence thereafter kept it quiet.
Like Carnegie, the guy who built America's steel industry. He was rich, like Elon. Or Hearst, who the movie Citizen Kane is literally based on, had mega cultural influence, like Elon. Or Kennedy, the original Kennedy, had immense political influence, like Elon. But, David says, those guys were mostly behind the scenes. They didn't act the way that Elon does.
The other thing that's new is that this guy has more, he's more presumptuous than any business leader I've seen.
For instance, Elon's live Twitter interview with Trump back in August, when the idea of a government efficiency commission was first floated, David points out that was Elon's idea.
Nobody talked about him entering the government until he did. If you listen to that interview, about 50 minutes in, Trump mentions something about inflation, and Musk says, yeah, you're right. And I think we need a Department of Government Efficiency.
I think we need like a government efficiency commission to say like, hey, where are we spending money that's sensible? Where is it not sensible? Right. And would you agree that we need to take a look at government spending? Yes. and have perhaps a government efficiency commission that just look. I mean, I think it would be great to just have a government efficiency commission that takes a look at these things, and I'd be happy to help out on such a commission.
And Trump doesn't know what to do about it, and then he says, yeah.
You know, it's funny. The thing that was surprising to me in that interview was how subservient he allowed himself to be to Trump.
He was subservient. He rolled over on any number of questions. But then he saw his opportunity when inflation was mentioned, and he must have known this was what he was going to do. But he waited. He waited almost an hour to put in his plug.
David says Elon's not the first guy to try buying himself political influence. All three of his moguls, he calls them my moguls, by the way, that's what they tried to do too. But the presidents they helped put in office mostly ignored them, focused on making their voters happy. Which, you know, that's democracy working. This time, we don't know. Those moguls of the past, they didn't have Elon's social media following. A newspaper, even a chain of newspapers, it's not the same as owning a social network.
Yeah, I just see a lot of triumphalism.
Ellie Reeve again, an expert on right-wing extremism. We spoke with her in episode 1. She says that Twitter has been different since Elon bought it, and especially since he came out in favor of Trump. It's not just that there's a lot of hate. It's that the people promoting hate have gotten less restrained.
Like, I was just watching this video hosted by Benny Johnson, who used to work for BuzzFeed and other places, talking to a Trump official who was saying, joking, but not joking, we're going to rain down hellfire when we take office. We're going to deport all these people and their kids and their grandparents, and it's going to be awesome.
10 million people and growing, anchor babies, their parents, their grandparents. We're going to put kids in cages. It's going to be glorious. We're going to deport a lot of people. I will rain hell on Washington, D.C. We've talked about this.
Like, that's the kind of stuff I see. Real names, real faces, saying the stuff you could only say anonymously 10 years ago.
Elon says he bought Twitter to save free speech, to bring back the town square. But I don't know. I'm not convinced. What he's built, it feels less like a public forum and more like a soapbox for him and his side to stand on.
I have affection for my three guys, my three moguls, Carnegie, Hearst, and Joe Kennedy. I don't have the same affection for Elon Musk. I think in the long term, Elon Musk is more dangerous, is smarter, and has amassed a kind of political and cultural power that no one should have that kind of power.
Maybe it's that you haven't been able to figure out like what matters to him beyond himself.
That's absolutely right. What I can't figure out about Musk is what drives him. He says what drives him is he wants to go to Mars. At various times he says what drives him is that he wants more smart children to be born, or the country's going to fall apart. At various times he wants to save the planet. And I don't know what's most important in the end. Somehow I think that he has succeeded in so many different areas that he thinks he's godlike.
Something occurred to me. Musk's favorite saying, the voice of the people is the voice of the gods. Maybe what he actually means is the voice of the people is whatever I say it is.
He can't be president. He can't be king, but he can be God. And I think the more he achieves, the more power he amasses, the more he thinks he is Zeus, and it's up to us to say, no, we don't want a Zeus. We want to live in a democracy.
What David's saying, I've been thinking about it. Of course, it's dramatic, but it also captures the dramatic scale of Elon's ambitions and what we've made of them. Looking back, something I got wrong about Elon from the start, when his whole thing was just rockets and climate change. He seemed like some sort of superhero, like larger than life, more than just some guy. Elon Musk is not Zeus. What he is, though, is a celebrity. And we've got a lot of say in that. After all, Vox Populi, the people, we do make up half the equation. Citizen Elon is produced by Lena Masitsis. Rayon Harmansi is our senior editor. Blake Maples handles engineering, and Emma Sanchez fact-checking. Brennan Francis Newnham is our executive producer, and Sage Bauman is the head of Bloomberg Podcasts. Big thanks to the Elon Inc. crew: David Papadopoulos, Naomi Shavin, Magnus Hendrickson, Stacey Wong. Listen every Tuesday for breaking Elon news. Thanks as well to our Bloomberg colleagues David Fox, Julia Press, Dana Hull, Sarah Fryer, Kurt Wagner, Josh Green, Mark Millian, Margaret Sutherland, Allison Mobley, Jackie Kessler, Ariel Brown, Chris Nasenzo, and Albert Hicks. An extra big thanks to Brad Stone, editor of Business Week, and Katie Boyce, executive editor of Bloomberg Digital, for their unflagging support. I'm Max Chafkin. If you have a minute, rate and review our show. It'll help other listeners find us.